And here we are preparing for the second day of the World Cup in Stavanger. It's the third World Cup of the season. And it's looking to be an exciting day. Just like yesterday. Yesterday we had 4 distances, 2 1000 meters and 2 mass starts. The 1000 meters men was won by Keltnuis, just like 2 weeks ago in Beijing. But in the B division, Jordan Stoltz was faster. And today's first distance will be the men's 500 meters. And unfortunately, once again, Jordan Stoltz had to skate in the B division, which he did win with an okay time of 35.09. In second place we had Tianlong Li, a Chinese skater, and in third place Yenning de Bo, a talent from the Netherlands, who skated 35.30 and 35.35 respectively. Fourth place, who's just a few thousandths of a second away from promoting to the A division next week. Oh, there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Norway, to the beautiful city of Stavanger. We are here for the third World Cup of the season. And it's gonna be a doozy today. We start off with the men's 500 meters, then we'll get the women's 1500 meters, and then we'll finish today with the one and only 10k of the season in the World Cup. It's going to be very exciting. Now, of course, yesterday we already had a few distances. We had the two 1000 meters, men and women, and the two mass starts, men and women. The mass starts were, especially the women's, fairly chaotic. On the men's, a few went over the finish after they had fallen down. They just slid over the finish. And the women's, Irene Schouten won and lapped the entire group, everyone else. And on the 1000 meters yesterday, Kjeld Nuis won. But Jordan Stoltz was the fastest. He wasn't in Beijing, didn't skate, had to start in the B division yesterday. And he was the fastest of everyone, with a time of 1:08:47, and that's relevant because he had to do the same on the 500 meters today. He also had to start in the B division, which he won with a time of 35 seconds and 900ths of a second. It's a good time. It's not stunning, he's done faster, but it's still a good time. Second was Qianlong Li, Chinese skater. Third was Jenning de Bouw, a new Dutch talent who's still only 19 years old. And which I believe was his second fastest 500 meters, or his third ever, so very good, with 35:35. In a few minutes we'll start with the A division of the 500 meters. Where once again near the end we'll have a lot of Japanese skaters. They're in absolute top shape this season. But we'll also have for you 3 Polish skaters, 3 Dutch skaters, a Spanish skater, Neil Job, who's skating a fantastic season. His best yet after he skated a very good season last season. And we'll have 2 Chinese skaters in the first race actually, which starts in about 2 minutes. So if we look at yesterday's results and the results of the B divisions that have happened already today, the ice is roughly the same as it was last year in Stavanger. Not terribly fast, but it's still good ice. And of course, if it's the same for everyone, it doesn't really matter. This is Laurent Dubreuil warming up for his 500 meters. That's Marijn Scheperkamp. And there we go. I think I just heard the whistle for the first pair. 10 pairs, as usual. Current World Cup standings: Japan 1, 2, 3, Morishige, Murakami and Shinama. Followed by Laurent Dubreuil, Yuno Kim, Yamamoto, Scheperkamp, Boza and so on. These are the pairings. First pair, Honan Du against Tingyu Gao, which is our Olympic champion. Lorentzen, former Olympic champion. So a lot of good skaters. Although it was a long time ago for Lorentzen, of course. He still got it, not quite as fast as he was back then, but he still got it. Neil Job in the second half, which is astonishing for a Spanish skater, really. Spanish speed skating was, well, basically nothing for many, many years. You had a few in the past, like decades ago. But Neil Job is putting it on the map, and there's a whole group around him. But here we go. first pair, Ting Yu Gao against Hao Nandu. Ting Yu Gao is known for his blazing fast openers. He holds the record for the fastest opener ever skated. 9:48. That's a really good opener. That's his fastest this season, actually. And Hao Nandu 10:11. Now, with a good inner turn, you can skate a very fast time with this. What will his lap be? That is the question. 34:68. That's a very good time. And 35:39 for Hao Nandu. 34:68. That's just outside the top 10 fastest times ever skated. Ting Yu Gao took a year off last season. We didn't see him at all. And he returned this season, returned in the World Cup last week, well, 2 weeks ago, last race, where he was good, but not yet super, not yet on absolute top of his game. But he is getting there. This was even better. $34.68. Remains to be seen how many skaters will be able to beat that. Maybe none. It's a very good time. Right, Havar Lorentzen against Takuya Morimoto. Asian skaters, like Ting Yu Gao, but mostly Japanese skaters in general, are known for skating very fast first 100 meters. And Morimoto is no exception. Lorentzen has always had a little bit of more trouble with the first 100 meters, but his lap is usually phenomenal. There we go, 9.66, good opener, 9.99. That's about what Lorentzen does this season. What we can expect from him. Morimoto will have to skate a lap of about 25.0 if he wants to take Ting Yu Gao. Which, if he is in the top shape of his life, he could do. And Lorentzen takes it on the final 100 meter stretch. That's what I was talking about. Morimoto has the faster opener, but he's a super sprinter, and Lorentzen is more of a 1000 meter specialist as well. And he manages to take the win on the final 100 meters. 35.10 to 35.11. And he skated a faster lap as well than Ting Yu Gao. But, yeah, he lost half a second in the first 100 meters. And you're not going to make up for that in the lap. It would be theoretically possible, but it would have to be absolutely outstanding. Here we have probably the tallest guy in the entire field. At least on the 500 meters. Hein Otterspeer against the American Cooper McLeod. There's 13 years of age difference between the two. McLeod is 22, very young still. Got an entire career ahead of him. Hein Otterspeer, 35. He's the oldest participant in this distance today. Otterspeer skated very good in the first World Cup. Was ill in the second World Cup, so didn't skate as well. Let's see what he can do today. 9.98, 9.97. That's about what you can expect from these skaters. If Otterspeer goes under 10 seconds, it's good. His fastest ever is something like 9.78. And he skates a good turn. And he beats McLeod. What will the time be? 35.12 goes into 4th place. And 35.53 from Cooper McLeod. Otterspeer, just like Lorentzen, a little bit slower on the opener, but a good lap. they skated almost identical races. There's so much power in that body. If only he could get those openers to a 9.6 or at least a consistent 9.7. But he's 35 years old. It's probably not going to happen. 1,000 meters is a distance that is more for him right now. Next pair. Polish Piotr Michalski against Bjorn Magnussen. From Norway, who's right at home here. And you do hear a fairly big cheer. Some ice rinks, it's almost empty, but Stavanger, there's always a good crowd. Speed skating is quite popular here. Down start from Magnussen, which you don't see very often anymore. But some skaters do prefer it. .84 for Magnussen and 10.05 for Michalski. Now if Magnussen can get a good draft here in the back of the big Polish skater, and it looks like he did. Now only he needs a good turn for a good time. And that looked like a good turn to me. Has quite a bit of a head on Michalski. 35.15. That is his fastest time in the World Cup this season. Michalski 35.68. I think he had hoped for more. But let's see what the other two Polish skaters can do, if they can beat Michalski's time. And they are up next. Here we have Marek Kania in the inner lane and Damian Čurek on the outer lane. Čurek is the best Polish skater of this season so far. Placed 5th at the first 500 meters 2 weeks ago, which was very good. And he skated some good times in the pre-season as well, so it was not all that unsurprising. Still 5th, that's a good result. Marek Kania in the same race also cracked the top 10. Let's see what they can do today. .992 for Čurek and 10.07 for Kania. And you can see that Čurek is sitting quite a bit deeper than Kania, which means that he has less air resistance, which should be beneficial, but only if you can actually use your power while you're in that position, of course. And he takes the lead to 35.09, goes into second place. Once again, a very strong time from Čurek. Marek Kania 35.40, that's in line with what he's done earlier. If you look at the results currently, then there are some very close results. In first place, with a big difference, is Tingyou Gao, 34.66. Oh, it's been corrected by 200. It's now tied to the 10th time ever skated on this rink. And then there's a big gap, almost half a second, to Čurek, 35.09. Then Lorentzen, 35.10, Morimoto, 35.11, Otterspeer, 35.12. This pair, Dutch skater Janno Botman against our Spanish surprise. Well, it's not really a surprise anymore, but I do like the alliteration. Nil Job. Ranked 11th in the World Cup. Which, as I said before, is very good. He's only 21. He's got an entire career ahead of him. Janno Botman also still only 23. Nil Job has gotten quite close to a sub 35 second time on a low altitude rink a few times. 9.78 for Botman, that's pretty good. Nil Job 9.90, that's also pretty good for him. That's what he does this season. Botman has skated under at 35 seconds already. In Heerenveen a few times. 34.6 last year. And here 35.16 and 35.35 for Nil Job. That 35.1 second is very popular. We already have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 skaters in there. Nil Job is being extremely consistent. His last 4 500 meters, 35.33, 35.39, 35.30, and then today 35.35. So yeah, if you want to judge today's race, it's exactly what he does. So it's good. Here we have currently the only Italian sprinter in the top of the world against Marijn Scheperkamp. Boza last season skated under 35 seconds for the first time on low altitude rinks. So he is 31 years old, but he's still improving. In fact, yesterday he was faster on the 1000 meters on low altitude than he had ever been before. And they're off. Scheperkamp is taking a lead, 9.87 and 10.11 for Boza. They've been both faster on that. Scheperkamp's done 9.6 a few times, had a little slip in the inner turn there. And Boza is not able to close the gap. Scheperkamp will take home this race, although Boza is closing the gap a little bit. They skate identical laps, 35.45 for Scheperkamp, 35.69 for Boza. Both their slowest time in the World Cup so far, so I don't think they'll be entirely happy with that. And unlike the first two World Cups, there's only one 500 meter race in this one. So they will not have a chance to try again. Well, they will, but only next week. Which will be in Poland, by the way. 3 races left to go, and so far Ting Yu Gao is still firmly in the lead, the only skater who has skated under 35 seconds, with 34.66. Yuma Murakami in the inner lane against Wataru Morishige in the outer lane. Murakami is just like Ting Yu Gao, known for blazing fast openers. He opened 9.37 last season at the World Championships. However, his lap is definitely not bad, but it's not as good as some of the other skaters, and that is where he lost a lot at the World Championships last season. Morishige is incredibly consistent. Placed second in the first World Cup race and then first, and another first. With very consistent times as well. All within a tenth, all 4 races. With those placings, obviously Morishige leads the World Cup standings at the moment. 9.57 from Murakami and 9.65 from Morishige. Yeah, that's what they do. Morishige very often in the 9.6. It's not blazing fast, others are faster, but he's very consistent at it and it's still fast. And they look to be incredibly even, although Morishige is now taking the lead on that final 100 meter stretch. And he beats Ding Yugao! 34.65. He's taking the lead with a good lap of 25.00. And Murakami is not getting a time, but I'm guessing... it does say it on the ISU website. 34.90. And that's what I was talking about. Murakami has a faster first 100 meters, but then loses it a bit on the final 100 meter stretch. And that's where Morishige overtook him. And the same goes a little bit for Gao. Gao is also a super sprinter. And Morishige had a faster lap. And that's where he won the final 100th of a second. And we still got 2 pairs to go. So while Morishige is in first and has a decent chance to win, nothing sure, anything can happen. Here we have Yudai Yamamoto, who is new at the top. He started in the B division in the first 500 meter race. Immediately won and then placed top 10 in all 3 next races. Laurent Dubreuil, very established Canadian skater, 31 years old. Was world champion 2021. Holds the Canadian record. Holds all kind of records. Had a little bit of a rough start. Well, rough for him, at least. Still placed top 10. But had a very good race in the second race 2 weeks ago. And it looks good. I like the way he moves. Lots better than the first World Cup. 9.75 to 9.87. Dubreuil is one for the lap. His opener can be really good at times, but his lap is usually where he does the best. If he combines the two, then he's dangerous. And he does take Yamamoto on the inner curve. He looks to be winning this race, but what will the time be? 35.05 goes into 4th place. Unfortunately, didn't quite skate the lap that we all hoped for. But still a decent time. With 1 pair to go, Morishige has managed to get to the podium again. Because if both go faster, he will still be 3rd. And being that consistent is, well, it's worthy of a lot of praise. It's very difficult. Here we have Tatsuya Shinhama against Yoonho Kim. Yoonho Kim has yet to skate a time under 35 seconds this season. Came to 35.00 2 weeks ago. So he needs to do something really special if he wants to beat Morishige. Shinhama skated 34.40 at the Japanese Championships in Nagano. And 34.52 in the very first race of the World Cup season. So he definitely has it in him. Track record is 34:52, by the way. Shinhama looked to be a little slow off the line. $9.55 for Kim, $9.62 for Shinhama. Those are good openers. Very good. So 34:52 is the track record by Pavel Kulishnikov from 2016. It's quite old. So it would be great if it gets beaten. And Yuno Kim is just slightly behind Shinhama, and the time is 34:71. Goes into third place, and Kim again 35:00 goes into fifth place. And Morishige wins for the fourth time in a row. Absolute fantastic consistency. And Ting Yugao was not able to get to the podium 2 weeks ago, but second place right now. And behind that, Tatsuya Shinhama in third place. And then Yuma Murakami in fourth place. And we stay in Asia with Yuno Kim in fifth place. It's a very Asian distance at the moment, the 500 meters men. And especially a Japanese distance. What we can say for sure though is that Morishige is very consistent, very good. Ting Yugao is back, took a year off, had, as you always do after you take a year off, a little bit of a slower start. You're not immediately at the top of the world, but a few races later, here he is, back again. And Tatsuya Shinhama had a little rough season last year. Well, had some good races, but was inconsistent. But took the podium for the first time on the 1000 meters yesterday. And takes again the podium here with 34:71. This season is much better. He's, again, quite consistent. And then in the rest of the top 10, Dubrui, Jurek, Lorentzen, Morimoto, Otterspeer. Lorentzen is getting a bit stiff, some troubles with his back, but he's still there. He's still skating top 10. Niljop, 14th. He's managing to stay in the A division, which is very good. The Dutch skaters placed 10th, 12th and 17th. It's not quite what it used to be around the time of Sochi 2013, 2014. But still a few in the A division. And here we have the new World Cup standings. Morishige obviously stays in first place, extends his lead. Murakami, Shinhama, it's still a Japanese podium. Then Dubrui, Kim, Yamamoto, Scheperkamp, Botman, Jurek, Boza rounds off the top 10. There will not be any preparation of the ice in between this distance and the 1500 meters for women, which will start in 6 minutes. in a few minutes, we'll start with the women's 1500 meters. It's going to be another exciting distance. Earlier this morning, we already had the B division, as usual, which was won by Dutch skater Elisa Dul, 1:58.93. She surprised at the Dutch World Cup qualifier, skated very well in a lot of distances. And did unfortunately fall to the B division, but will now get promoted again for next week. Second place, Martina Sablikova, who's still at it. She appeared on the scene in 2006. Was fourth at the Olympics in Turin back then. 17 years ago, nearly 18. And still got it. The 1500 meters is not her strongest distance, so sometimes she does skate in the B division. But the fact that she can still promote back to the A division is phenomenal. Especially at her age, how long she's been good without missing a single season. And in third place, who we will also see in the A division next week, is Lola Brigida, who is back after taking a year off to become a mother. Here we have the World Cup standings. Takagi in the lead, won both of them. Kishi Lee, Antoinette Rijpma de Jong, Meihan. I've never seen this before. Two Chinese skaters in the top of the World Cup standings. Extraordinarily good. Here we have the pairings. We started Van Elst against Wijfje. Then Groenewoud, Kikuchi, Onodera Yang, McGregor, Morozova. And here's the second half. And we finish with Meihan against Momoka Horikawa, who's been quite a surprise on this distance this season. So, for context, the track record here today is 1:54.92, skated by Hedda Bergsma in March 2017 at the final World Cup. For a top 10 time you need to go to 1:56.48, also skated by Hedda Bergsma, that 10th time. Here though we have Isabelle van Elst, Dutch skater, who now skates for Belgium, so Belgian skater, against a proper Dutch skater, Melissa Wijfje. Girlfriend of Marcel Posker, who won the mass start yesterday with truly a phenomenal race. Isabelle van Elst has skated a few Belgian records since she transferred to Belgium, and also has the one on this distance. 26.1 and 26.9 for Wijfje. What are lap times you can expect for these skaters? Maybe somewhere in the 29 seconds. If they're very good at high 28. 29.5, 29.6. It's roughly what you can expect. And then it all depends on what do you do in that second half. Wijfje is known for her good middle laps, which is the upcoming one, the 1100 meter lap. Van Elst is more of a sprinter, so will usually lose a bit more in the second half of the race. And is putting two hands on her back now. You don't see that very often with her. And there you have it. Wijfje takes over a second on Van Elst in this middle lap. 30.8 to 31.91. And she passes her on the crossing. This difference in speed is phenomenal here. There you can see Melissa Wijfje, who is very good at the 3K, against Isabelle van Elst, whose strongest distance is probably the 1000 meters. And they clash in the middle, and you can see where they win and where they lose. And this is where Melissa Wijfje wins. 1:59.76 against 2:02.63 from Isabelle van Elst. Both roughly the same time as they did last week. A few tenths behind, but it's a decent time. In the next pair, we have Marijke Groenewoud, who skipped the first World Cup and had to start with a wild card. She could start in the A division last World Cup. Immediately skated into 6th place. And I'm excited to see what she can do today against Sumire Kikuchi, who was 6th in the B division the first World Cup and 3rd in the B division last World Cup, and the top 3 of the B division promotes the next World Cup race to the A division, which is why we're seeing her here today. Ready. Usually Groenewoud should win this race by a second or 2, maybe 3. But we'll see what happens. The reason Groenewoud starts so early is because she doesn't have a lot of World Cup points. And the pairings are done based on how many points you have, but if you skip one, you don't have a lot. 26-3 to 26-4. Those are pretty decent. Marijke Groenewoud especially, she doesn't go that fast usually on the opener. She's more of a 3K specialist. A few years ago she used to skate mostly 1000 and 1500 meters, but last year she switched to doing the 3K and also the 5K, and she was immediately phenomenally good at it. 28.93, fastest lap so far of today. And 29.2 for Kikuchi. Because Groenewoud also skates long distances, she should be able to have a decent second half. Or maybe a low in the 30s. 30.1, exactly that, and 31.4 for Kikuchi. What kind of final lap can she do today? A time around 1:57.00 should be possible. A little bit above it maybe. A little bit below if she got a really good last lap. And, well, it's a little bit below 1:56.99. And 2:01.43 for Kikuchi. Groenewoud into the lead with a wide margin. And last race, 2 weeks ago, this would have been enough for 3rd place. So it might also be that for today. Might not be, we'll have to see. It's about half a second above the top 10 times ever skated in Stavanger. We have Onodera versus Yang. I will be very surprised if these skaters, well, get even close to Groenewoud's time. But that doesn't mean they can't skate good races. And off they go. Haven't seen a false start yet today, which is very nice. False starts are never nice. Onodera was 2nd in the B division in the first race, and Yang was 3rd in the B division, promoted, both of them, and they managed to stay in the A division. 26.7 for both. 2 weeks ago, Onodera placed 18th and Young placed 17th. So their level is very close to each other and should be an exciting race this. Young is taking the lead, is skating the faster lap. 29.1 to 29.9. That's a cautious start from Onodera. But maybe she'll be able to make up for it in the second half. The gap does seem to be a little bit smaller right now, or at least not any bigger. Yeah, that's already 0.3 faster. 127.7 split time from Onodera, 127.3 from Young. And this could be a very exciting finish. Young has the draft here, and the shorter route to the finish with an inner corner. But Onodera has more speed and is probably going to win this. Yes, Onodera has overtaken Young, will win this race, but what will the time be? 2:00:44 and 2:00:96 from Binyu Yang. It's about the same what they skated 2 weeks ago, so it's a good race. Next up, we have Caitlin McGregor, the Swiss skater. Here we have Ragnar Wiklund, who will skate in pair 9. Caitlin McGregor, the Swiss skater, against Nadezhda Morozova from Kazakhstan. McGregor holds the national record and the low altitude national record for Switzerland and was incredibly close to that low altitude record twice. Just 0.2 behind it. And Morozova holds both records as well for Kazakhstan. The reason I'm talking about these low altitude records is on high altitude, like Calgary, Salt Lake City, those kind of rinks, there's a lot less air pressure, so you go a lot faster. And that difference is incredibly pronounced, on average about 3 seconds on the 1500 meters. And it's actually percentually the biggest on the 1500 meters of all the distances. So if you want to compare times, then if you're skating on a low altitude rink, you should not compare to high altitude rinks. 25.9, fastest opener of the day, and 26.2 for McGregor. Also a good opener. McGregor, both hands on her back, which is something that you see more and more recently. Irene Wüst did phenomenally well with that. Won an Olympic title, world title doing that. And others are doing it too. 28.6 for Morozova and 29.2 for McGregor. Morozova by far the fastest so far. She won the B division last week. Was 19th first World Cup. And it looks that she's going to do a lot better now. 30.7 does lose a lot in those lap times though. McGregor 31.6. She's quite a bit slower than the first 2 races. But what can Morozova do? Groenewoud is out of range, the 156.99. But Melissa Wijfje, 159.76. That's currently second place. And yeah, she takes it, 158.34. And 2:00.95 for McGregor. Not quite as fast as she was earlier, Still a decent race though. And Morozova had a rough start with 2:01.5 the first World Cup. Then a lot better 1:58.50 the second World Cup, and skate roughly the same time today. Well, still a little bit faster. So there's a lot of progression to be seen there. And it feels to me like Morozova has been at the top for quite a few years already. And she's been there for a few years, but she's only 25. So she got a career ahead of her. Next up, Mia Kilberg-Manganiello against Esther Kiel, the Dutch surprise of the season, who out of nowhere skated 3 seconds of her personal best on 1500 meters during the Dutch qualifier. She skated 1:54 suddenly. And Kilberg is mostly a mass start skater. Skated top 3 yesterday actually. But can also skate a decent 3K and a decent 1500 meters. Ooh, false. That was definitely Esther Kiel. She had a little bit of movement. Yeah, she does get it as well. The red flag for the red band that signifies the outer lane. If someone does it again, doesn't matter who, they're out. Luckily, that's incredibly rare. Well, it's rare anyway, but on distances longer than 1000 meters, it's super rare. Although Tatjana Bloemen did manage to do it on the 5K last season. And this time Darov, without any issues, luckily. These skaters are very equal. Kilberg placed 13th and 15th in the first 2 World Cups, and Kiel 16th and 14th. So between the two of them, both of them won 1. 26.6 for Kiel and 26.96 for Kilberg. Both of these are not sprinters, so this is what you can expect. A little bit of a slower opener. But as you see with these kinds of skaters, they will be able to keep those lap times down a little bit more near the end. And that's where they win their time. 29.5, 29.6. Roughly the same lap time. Kiel is extending her lead to Kilberg a little bit. And now it's all about keeping it steady. When you can see them next to each other right here, you do see that Kilberg sits deeper. So less air resistance. That's not the be-all end-all, by the way. Sven Kramer did not sit that deep, but obviously he won, well, pretty much everything. For years and years on end. Both skated a low 31 in the middle lap. And now it comes down to the final lap, and Esther Kiel is ahead by a little bit. But Kilberg-Manganiello can still win this with a good final 100 meter stretch. He does not manage. 2:00.38 from Kiel and 2:00.56 from Kilberg.
Esther Kiel finishes 2:00.39 and currently ranked as number 4.
And Kiel shakes her head. She definitely hoped for more. Did not go as she wanted. Well, that's the thing that happens. Sometimes skaters are very consistent, but most aren't. nearly everyone has a bad race, at least one a season. And this wasn't bad, just not quite as good as last time and the first time.
And in the outer lane, representing Japan with a personal best of 1:51.46, Ayana Sato.
Here we have Ayano Sato against the woman who skates pretty much everything, Ivani Blondin. She skates every distance there possibly is, except for the 500 meters, which she still skates at all-round championships, but not in the World Cup. She is Olympic champion team pursuit, and if I remember correctly, currently also world champion in the team sprint. So incredibly versatile, has won gold medals in the World Cup, Ivani Blondin, on the 1500, the 3000, the 5000, the team pursuit and the mass start. All in one season as well, the 2019-2020 season. Ayana Sato with the fastest opener of the day, 25.72. And Ivani Blondin, 26.54. That's what they do. Sato is a bit more of a sprint type. So she starts off quicker. Sato, of course, also Olympic champion team pursuit from 2018. (29.2) and 29.3. Almost identical laps. Sato is still ahead of where Groenewoud was right now. But Groenewoud had a strong finish. And there comes Blondin. She is closing the gap. And she will take her on the inner turn here. Or at least entirely close the gap. Yeah, they're equal now. And Blondin has a slight lead, 30.1. Whoa, out of 29.3. That's a very good middle lap. Sato loses quite a bit more, as is expected. Blondin might still be able to go for first place. 1:56.99 by Marijke Groenewoud. If she has a stunningly fast final lap. Although Sato comes back a lot. Sato comparatively a good last lap. Ivani Blondin loses more than she'd hoped probably, but does go into third place with 1:58.39 and 1:58.80 for Sato. Blondin is currently, well, obviously incredibly good at the mass start. On the other distances, she might be doing a little bit too much. She skates from the 1000 to the 5000, team pursuit, team sprint. And while she's decent or very good at all of them, it might be that because she's trying to do so much, she's missing out on being absolute top of the world on either the 1500 or the 3000. But if that's what she likes to do, and she is successful at it, then she should keep doing it. Brittany Bowe against Valérie Maltin. Brittany Bowe, ex-world record holder. There's an incredibly long list of wins on the 1500 meters. And Valérie Maltin has only been in the top of the world for a few years. Comes from short track originally, changed to long track. But has a good season so far. Maltin 10th and 12th, Bowe 7th and 10th. On the 3K last season, Maltin suddenly broke free and skated incredibly good times. Much faster than before. And yeah, Bowe is much more of a sprinter, Maltin is more of a long distance skater, and that you see here. 25.46 for Bowe and 26.72 for Maltin. That's what Brittany Bowe does. She skates low in the 25, or sometimes even high in the 24, in that first 300 meter opener. And despite also being a 500 and 1000 meter skater, she sometimes has remarkably good final laps. 28.9 and 29.4. Bo is the fastest of the day at 700 meters. And has quite a lead on Groenewoud. But then comes that second half, which can be brutal. 1500 meters will truly wreck you, especially if you skate it the way that sprinters do, like Bo. .31.0, and she's already behind Groenewoud. She lost over 2 seconds there. And Valérie Martin, same middle lap, will probably win a bit in that final lap, but the gap is big. So unless Bo loses it completely, she will at least win the race. And she definitely will. Technique still looks good, despite the fact that she will absolutely be sore all over. 158.08 goes into second place. Good race. Groenewoud still firmly in first place. And Malta 159.47. And goes into sixth place. We got 3 pairs to go. Earlier I said that Groenewoud skated very early in the second pair because it goes on World Cup points, and she missed the first one, so she has to skate early because she didn't have a lot of points. It is like that until the final 3 pairs, which are the top 6 of the World Cup standings, and they are randomly assigned one of the pairs. So that it's a little bit more random. That's quite a recent change. Didn't used to be. It used to be always, the same pattern continued. But here we have Kimi Guts against Mio Takagi. Kimi Guts ranked 6, Mio Takagi is ranked 1. Well, she won both, so naturally she's ranked number 1. Both can open very fast, have opened under the 25 seconds. Guts even did that this season. Takagi usually about 25.5. Guts, I would say usually a little bit faster, but Takagi is in the lead. Although Guts is closing the gap a little bit. 25.5 Takagi, 25.6 Guts. Both really good openers. And this ice is a little bit slower, so you don't want to open in the 24 seconds. That would be suicide. If you do that, then you will feel that massively in that final lap. You need to take it a little bit more cautiously on this ice. 28.67 for Guts and 28.80 for Takagi. Easily the 2 fastest times of the day. And while Guts is, her best distance is the 1000 meter, Takagi's best distance is the 1500, and she can skate anything. Even a decent 5k, and she was second at the 500 meters in the Olympics. 30.0 for Takagi, that's the best middle lap we've seen so far. And with a good final lap, she should be able to go into that top 10 times. Kimi Guts loses a little bit more, 30.8 seconds. She has a very wild technique, but it works. Takagi more controlled. And what will the time be? 155.87. And Guts 159.12. Takagi goes into first place and 155.87. is the 7th fastest time ever skated here. And the 4th time from Takagi in the top 10. Good. Not so good as last race or the race before that. She has already medaled. In the first World Cup, she medaled in the 500, the 1000 and the 1500. But she's definitely not going to make the 1500 medals this week. As I said earlier, consistency is incredibly difficult. Ragnar Wiklund. This is her home track. That will probably give her some sort of advantage. Against Antoinette Rijpma de Jong, who is the reigning world champion. And Wiklund was second at the World Championships. So here also the absolute top of the world. De Jong will usually open about half a second faster than Wiklund. Wiklund skates a lot. She skated in the A division of the 1000 meters yesterday. Tomorrow she skates in the A division of the 5000 meters. She's quite versatile. And you do see it a little bit more. Some other skaters like Takagi can do a lot of distances, De Jong as well. But it's not that often that you see it. It is really extraordinary. There's a second difference today. And a little slip of Wiklund in the inner corner. That will cost her a little bit of time probably. 25.7 for De Jong, 26.7 from Wiklund. De Jong, very beautiful technique. Her technique changed a lot when she started training with Kjeld Nuis. It started to look a lot more like the technique of Nuis. 28.6 for Rijpma and 29.0 for Wiklund. Rijpma is on the exact same pace as Mio Takagi, and Rijpma can skate a very good 3K. So she should be able to pump out those good last laps. And Wiklund hasn't been beaten yet. Because Wiklund is a 5K specialist as well. They have the same middle lap. Now Wiklund has to do something really special to win this race. And Rijpma did lose half a second on Takagi in this lap. So that final lap will have to be... Well, it's nearly impossible to beat Takagi's time, but sometimes the impossible does happen. She beats Wiklund by a wide margin. 1:56.95 goes into second place and is the fastest Dutch skater of the day. Wiklund 1:59.12, which is her slowest time this season so far. Well, in the World Cup at least. Her 1000 meters, Wiklund's 1000 meters, also wasn't quite as fast as she'd done earlier. So she might be having a little bit of a lesser weekend, which happens. It's unfortunate for her that it's on her home rink though, for her home audience. Yeah, that little slip. It's not, that doesn't cost you seconds, but it still costs a little bit. Final pair, Maihan against Momoka Horikawa. Maihan, as the speaker just announced, Chinese national record holder, also Chinese low altitude national record holder, and was second last World Cup. Momoka Horikawa, Japanese record holder for the juniors on the 3K and 5K. And decided that, you know what, I want to do that 1500 meters as well. And suddenly she's good at the 1500 meters this season. Before this, her 1500 meters was, well, just not good. Then she was like, yeah, I want to be better. And she skated top 10 twice, 6th and 9th. Maihan 25.8 and Momoka Horikawa 26.9. For Han, that's quite a good opener. Horikawa has done a little bit faster, but this is roughly what she does. And the first lap is 28.74 and 29.84 for Horikawa. Maihans can skate decent 3Ks, but this season more so the 1000 meters as well, indicating that the final lap on this 1500 meters is usually not at least on the same level as Takagi, so she's gonna have to do something really special if you want to take that time. 30.6, she's 8 tenths behind Takagi, that's not going to happen, but second place is very much possible again. And 31.5 from Horikawa. Second place is Rijpma de Jong with a final lap of 32.0 and a time of 156.95. And 156.99 is third place, so 156.95 for the podium. Will she make it? She will unfortunately not. 158.06, fourth place though. And 201.29 for Horikawa. And that was the 1500 meters. Rather unsurprisingly, Mia Takagi wins again. With quite a big difference of 1.08 seconds. It's not quite a difference as it was in Obihiro, but still a big difference. And then we have two Dutch skaters, Antoinette Rijpma de Jong and Marijke Groenewoud, in second and third place. Then Maihan from China, fourth place. Brittany Bow, fifth place. Then Morozova, Blondin, Sato, Guts and Wiklund rounding off the top 10. She's definitely not happy with this. I hope she's not ill. Quite a few skaters have been not feeling that well. Mostly during the second World Cup, and I heard from various people that also after that a few got ill, unfortunately. And here we have those times. Mia Takagi skates a very good time, goes into the top 10 here. And then Rijpma de Jong, Groenewoud, Han, Bow, Morozova, Blondin, Sato, Guts, Wiklund. Morozova very strong with a 6th place. After being in the B division last race. And then here Malta, Wijfje, Kiel, Onodera, Kilberg, McGregor, Yang, Horikawa, Kikuchi. And at the bottom of the list, Isabelle van Elst. That was the women's 1500 meters. There's only one distance remaining for today. Oh, here we have the standings at first. Mia Takagi, obviously first place, won all three, is doing incredibly well. Better than last season. Antoinette Rijpma de Jong, Maihan, Kimi Guts, Brittany Bow. Despite not such a great race today, Kimi Guts still in 4th place in the World Cup. Best American. She's still doing very well. Wiklund still 6th place. And that was the 1500 meters. We will now have some ice preparation. And then at 51 minutes past 3, which is 14 minutes from now, the 10K will start. We'll have 6 races of 10K. In between, we'll have the prize giving for the 500 meters men, 1500 meters women. But we'll be back with the commentary at the start of the 10K in 14 minutes.
Mine damer og herrer, vi får medaljeseremoni for 500 meter menn. Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for the 500 meters men. Nummer 3, number 3, from Japan, Satsuya Shinhama. Number 2, from People's Republic of China, Gao Tingyu. Og nummer 1 og vinner, number 1 and the winner from Japan, Tale Olishige. Tale Olishige, Gao Tingyu, Tatsuya Shinhama, congratulations! Det sa jeg ikke jeg sa det, det var her. Jeg har video og gir ikke sa det. damer og herrer, vi får medaljeseremoni for 1500 meter kvinner. Ladies and gentlemen, the award ceremony for 1500 meters women. Medaljene og premiene vil bli delt ut av the medals and prizes will be presented by the ISU representative, Mr. Albert Aston. Nummer 3, number 3, from the Netherlands, Marijke Groenewald. Also from the Netherlands, Antoinette Rijkma de Jong. Og nummer 1 og vinner, number 1, and the winner from Japan, Miho Takagi. Miho Takagi, Antoinette Rijkma de Jong, Marijke Groenewald, congratulations!
Very much. Thank you.
Da er det cirka 4 minutter igjen til start på 10 000 meter for menn divisjon A, som er dagens siste øvelse. It's approximately 4 minutes left until we will start the next race. Vi minner også om at etter at løpene er over i dag, fra klokken 6, så er det gratis for alle barn å gå på skøyter på isen her. Og det betyr, men de kan ikke gå ut på før klokken 6, da må man ha med egne skøyter. Så er det noen barn som har lyst til å gå på skøyter på isen her, så er dere hjertelig velkommen til det fra klokken 6 til halv 7 i dag.
In a few minutes, the 10K, the 10,000 meters, will start. The 10K is a very different kind of race. We saw the 500 meters, very much pure sprint. We saw the 1500 meters. You do see, a little bit of endurance there. But now we have the 10K, which is pure endurance. You can skate it in a lot of different ways. Usually the fastest way to skate it is to keep it as steady as possible. The same lap times all throughout. It's 25 of those laps. Although what you will see often with the very fastest times, the very best races, is that they are able to accelerate a bit more towards the end. And take those lap times down. The track record for the 10K in Stavanger is 12:38.92 when Niels van der Poel 2 years ago won with 18 seconds difference. And he would of course become Olympic champion a few months later. Niels van der Poel has actually been seen skating a small local Swedish competition 2 weeks ago. Maybe he's planning to return, who knows. He says not, but never trust him. He can do crazy things. Here we have the standings. It's The 5,000 and the 10,000 meters are combined, which is why we do have standings, even though this is the first one. Patrick Roest, 120 points, won both. Davide Giotto, 108 points, second in both. Eitrem, third in both, 96 points. Roest won the first two 5Ks and can skate a really good 10K, but Giotto is the world champion and he has a good chance to win. Here we have the pairs, Kars Jansman, Bo Snelling, two Dutch skaters, Dawson, Bergsma, then Engebraten against Bart Swings. Bart Swings, who's been at the top for quite a lot of years as well, 11, 12 years. And two Italian skaters, Giotto against Malfatti, Roest against Blumen, and in the final pair we have Sander Eitrem against Sverre Lunde Pedersen. So the track record is 12:38.92. I would be very surprised if that gets beaten today, but nothing is impossible. Second time ever skated is by Sven Kramer, 12:50.97, which was skated one Olympic cycle earlier in November 2017. Third time, Ted-Jan Bloemen, 12:52. Fourth time, Giotto, 12:53. And the 10th time, 13:01. It's snowing in Stavanger. I'm giving this commentary from the Netherlands, and we did actually have some snow here as well yesterday. I'm sure for Stavanger this is quite usual to have snow in early December. For us, it's not. And the first race has begun. Kars Jansman against Bo Snelling. 25 laps. The first one you could call the opener. It's because they have to get up to speed. It's always quite a few seconds slower than the other laps. So first on opening lap and then 24, hopefully as identical as possible laps for the best race possible. Kars Jansman currently in the outer lane, Bo Snelling in the inner lane. 36-1 for both. Well, 36-2 for Snelling. Snelling came up quite suddenly last season. He actually won the combined World Cup standings on the 5 and 10K, but was not able to go to the World Championships. He did not qualify on either distance. The reason he won was also not because he won a lot of those races. It was more because other skaters didn't skate. Or Giotto, who would be able to win, got disqualified, unfortunately, in the last race. Bo Snelling, 31-1. Kars Jansman, 31-3. Bo Snelling has a personal best, 12:52.51. Skated last season. Kars Jansman, 12:58.77. Also skated last season. Both still low in the 31. Because the 10K is quite a long race, you can look at these lap times and kind of speculate what times they will end up at. So if you skate lap times of between 31.0 and 31.5, your final time will be around 13 minutes and 5 seconds. If you keep it more around the 31.5 only, your final time will be roughly 13.10. If you want to skate 13 minutes or faster, you will have to skate lap times of 31 seconds or faster. These skaters both opened with a lap of roughly 36 seconds, and then 24 times 31 you get to exactly 13 minutes. So far very steady. 31.4 for both. So they're on that. They're on schedule to skate a time roughly 13:10. If they have good races, which remains to be seen. If they manage to take those lap times down at the end, which skaters often do in their best races, not always. That Jan Bloem did skate a world record of 12:36, where he lost a little bit at the end, but he gained so much at the beginning that he still skated the world record with 5 seconds. But if they can keep this steady and then take it down to the high 30s, perhaps low 30s if they're having a really good day, that will be a really nice 10k. Bo Snelling, incredibly consistent, 31.4. Kars Jansman, a little bit slower, 31.6. A very nice race so far. There has been, just like for the other distances, a B division, which Dutch skater Marvin Talsma won with 13:12.62. Jordan Belgels, 13:20, was second. And then, quite surprisingly, well, not that surprisingly considering his 5Ks earlier in the season, but Yu Wu, Chinese skater, placed third with 13:20.10, which is less than a second above the Chinese national record. And 14 seconds under what was, before today, the Chinese low altitude national record. And Xiaoyuan Wang skated also in the 13:20, which means that we have 2 Chinese skaters currently qualified for the World Championships. And we haven't seen them skate, as they skate in the B division, but they still qualified. At least as the standings are right now, which is very unique, because in the history of the World Championships, World Single Distance Championships on the 10k, since 1996, there has never been a Chinese skater. And now it looks like they're going to be 2. Both skaters have slowed down a little bit, skating 32.0 right now. Had a bit of 31.8, 31.9 in between. So with these kind of lap times, you're more looking towards 13.15, 13.20. Maybe a little bit above that. Depends on what they do in the second half, because we're still not quite there yet. This is Jorrit Bergsma, who has grown quite a beard. And we're nearing the halfway point. Halfway, the next lap, we cross the 5,000 meter mark. Snelling losing a little bit more now. Kars Jansman, 32.0. Both of these men didn't manage to qualify for the 5K for the World Cup, which especially for Snelling was a bit of a disappointment. And a little bit under his usual level. They did skate, he did skate a lot quicker in a training competition 2 weeks later. But unfortunately that was too late to qualify for the World Cups. But on the 10k, 2 days later, at the same qualifying event, he did take revenge and he skated a really good 10k. In fact, if we want to compare to that, Bo Snelling skated 13.01 and Kars Jansman skated 13.00. Well, they're not going to get that today, but this ice is quite a bit slower than the ice in Tialf and Heerenveen, so it would not be realistic to expect that anyway. In that B division earlier today, we also had Sigurd Henriksen, who is still a junior, skated a junior world record last season, and might do it again this season. He skated 13:23. Not his fastest race, but it's incredibly difficult to be consistent, especially as a junior. And it's still very good for a junior. Now, Bo Snelling just skated a lap of 33.6, so it looks like he's not having it today. Unless he had a very big slip that I missed. No, doesn't look like it. 33.7. Kars Jansman though, skating quite steady. 32.3. It's looking to be maybe about 13.22, something like that. Well, if Jansman continues to skate these laps, it's gonna be more towards 13.30, so maybe 13.27. It very much depends on what he does with the final. How many laps do we have left? 7 laps? 6 laps left after this. No, my bad. It is 7. $34.00 for Snelling. He's really not having it today. And that's, you know, if you're not having it on the 10K and you're struggling with those lap times, it's a very long distance to skate. If it happens on the 1500, well, it'll be over in a few minutes. Less than 2 usually. Kars Jansman also creeping up to 33-second laps now. Two seasons ago, in the Olympic season, it was Kars Jansman who, with a very good 10K in Stavanger on this ring, managed to get that second place for the Olympics, second qualifying place for the Netherlands. He's not quite able to match that performance right here today. 34.6 for Snelling. I hope Snelling's not ill or anything like that. Maybe he's got problems with his materials, with his skates. 32.9 for Jansman. He does keep it steady below 33, which is good. Almost 35 seconds for Snelling. Something's got to be up. Because this is not a good race. Again, 32.9 for Jansman. $34.9 for Snelling, while he does keep it below 35. And we have just 2 laps to go. And Jansman does go above the 33 now. 33.0. If he skates this lap time twice more, he's gonna go just under the 13 minutes and 30 seconds. And this split time of Bo Snelling, 12:39.77, is identical to the time that Jan Bloemen managed to win the Olympics in 2018. 33.1 now for Jansman. If he skates under 33.4, he'll skate under 13.5 minutes. Snelling is gonna skate, well, near 14 minutes. 13.51, 13.52. And Jansman does make it under 13.5 minutes. Got quite a steady finish. With a lot of high 32s, few low 33s. Poor Bo Snelling. I hope he recovers. Something's gotta be up. This is his slowest 10k by nearly half a minute in 3 years. Right, next pair. We have the American skater Casey Dawson against Dutch absolute veteran Jorrit Bergsma. Casey Dawson is the second fastest American ever on the 10k. The American record is still in the hands of Chad Hedrick. 12:55.11. Skated in 2005. And Dawson got quite close to that, 12:58, but hasn't managed to beat it so far. But he's 23. Jorrit Bergsma is 14 years older. Tied with Ted-Jan Bloemen for the oldest participant of this race. And perhaps the entire weekend? I'm not entirely sure on that. Difference in personal bests is quite large. Jorrit Bergsma is 12:37. Bergsma, for the first time in about 10 years, did not manage to qualify for the 5K World Cup. But just like Bo Snelling and Marvin Talsma, he managed to skate a very good 10k at the Dutch qualifier. And Bergsma placed second there, quite a bit of distance after Patrick Roest. 31.6, 32.3. Dawson is known for starting off slow. His opener was quite slow as well, 37.01. And then he tries to slowly but surely get his lap times down. He does that on the 5k a lot, which sometimes really does give him a good final time. Sometimes it doesn't work, but that goes for every skater. 31.6 for Jorrit Bergsma, same lap time as the first. Jorrit Bergsma has won so much. At first, in 2010, he and a couple of other marathon skaters, he comes from the marathon originally, wanted to go skate for Kazakhstan and qualify for the Olympics and other competitions that way. But they would lose their Dutch passports if they did that, so they decided to not do it. And then Jorrit Bergsma just became a legend in the Netherlands anyway. He was world champion in 2013 for the first time. Then in 2014 Sven Kramer skated consistently faster on the 10k, but was not able to do that at the Olympics, and Jorrit Bergsma became Olympic champion in a fantastic time of 12:44 back in Sochi 2014. Then 2015, Joris Bergsma once again, world champion. 2018, he was second at the Olympics. 2019, world champion. And then in 2023, once again, second at the World Championships. Has not skated the world record, has come quite close a few times, has a very good personal best, one of the few who has skated under 12 minutes and 40 seconds. And also has not as long, but still quite a long list of good results on the 5K. Got a few World Championship podium places. Especially in 2016, was second behind Sven Kramer, only a few tenths of a second. And as he comes from the marathon, where he also has a very long list of first places, second places, third places. As he comes from the marathon, he is usually able to get those lap times down, or at least keep them steady at the end. 31.6. So far, his race is incredibly consistent. Lots of, well, 31.6, 31.5, 31.4, 31.6. Dawson is also consistent, but about half a second, 6-7 tenths of a second behind there. Hier Rijpma is consoling what I assume is Bo Snelling. They are in the same team, Team Jumbo-Visma. Again, 31.6. If he keeps this up, he's looking to skate a time of about 13.15, 13.13. Dawson is accelerating a little bit, 32.0. If he's good, Joris Bergsma has such a wonderful technique to look at. And how consistent can you be? 31.6 again. And 32.0 for Dawson. Joris Bergsma goes from right to left, to right to left. It can make you sleepy. It's almost hypnotizing. And if everything is right, if his timing is perfect, it's, well, in my opinion, it's one of the most beautiful techniques out of anyone on any distance. And again, 31.6. I've seen racers this consistent before, but they are rare. They are very rare. So while this is not that incredibly fast, it is incredibly consistent and still a good race. 31.7, which I believe is his slowest lap so far. Although only by a few hundredths of a second, of course. Dawson very steady as well, 32.0. And we're past the halfway point now. 31.5. That 31.7 was a little bit too slow. Now, knowing Joris Bergsma and the way his technique looks, which is still good, it doesn't look like he has to push himself too much to do this. Knowing Joris Bergsma, this is roughly, maybe in a few laps, it's where he's going to slowly take those lap times down, bit by bit, tenth by tenth of a second. And while he does sometimes just completely wreck at the end of a race, he's usually one that starts off a bit slow and then sees what he can do, see what the shape of the day is, and then go from there. Which I think more often than not results, this is Ted-Jan Bloemen, who we'll see after the ice preparation. More often than not, this leads in a faster second half for Joris Bergsma. So far, still keeping it consistent though. 31.5. Dawson also incredibly consistent still. 32.1. It's quite a rare thing to have one skater who's that consistent in a race, but two. And even though Jorrit Bergsma has quite a lead, of course, Dawson is still very consistent, still skates a good race. 31.7. And the lap time for Dawson will be 32.2. Bergsma's looking for a time all around 13.15. Unless he manages to accelerate in the final quarter. $31.5. It's almost useless to mention his lap times. You know they'll be the same anyway. And the same goes for Dawson. Again, 32.1. This is quite far above the top 10 fastest time skated here. Perhaps we'll go more towards that after the ice preparation. Or maybe in the next pair already. Because while these are good races, I don't think they'll be enough to win. And Bergsma is definitely not in his top shape here. Because his level is that good that if he was, he would have skated faster. 31.8, he's losing a little bit now, slowest lap in the race so far. That acceleration that I was hoping for doesn't look like it's going to happen. And 32.1 for Dawson. Again. And if Dawson keeps this up, he will be able to beat the time of Kars Jansman as well. Which was 13.29. 31.9 for Bergsma. He is 7 seconds ahead of Kars Jansman. So while he is losing a little bit in the lap time, 31.17 for Dawson. Same lap time as last lap, to the 100th of a second. While Bergsma is losing a little bit in lap time now, he's still winning time compared to Jansman's race. A second a lap. 31.8 keeps it steady. And Dawson 32.3 loses a little bit now. But Dawson can still potentially beat Kars Jansman. Jorrit Bergsma now 31.9, keeping it below 32 seconds. Almost 10 seconds ahead of Jansman. He will be able to go under that 13-minute 20-second mark. Dawson 32.4, 3 seconds behind Jansman, 3.1 seconds. With these lap times, he's, I think, going to fall just short of that time. It's gonna be close. Yeah, he has to accelerate if he wants to beat that. Jorrit Bergsma, 31.8, still very consistent. Pretty much everything within half a second. Dawson, 32.7. Now he loses quite a bit now. He's not going to beat Jansman's time. He will be faster than Bo Snelling, of course, by quite a few seconds. 31.6 for Bergsma. 12.44.61 as split time, which is roughly the time he became Olympic champion in. And Dawson nearly 33 seconds for the lap now. Final 100 meter stretch. He's giving it his all, you can definitely see that. And 32.27 final lap, 13:16.88. Goes into first place, decent race. Casey Dawson. There's a lot of trouble here with the final lap. 13:32.68. Goes into third place. Both incredibly consistent races though. Dawson, last few laps, lost a little bit. But before that, it's a rare sight to see.
Leader, Jorrit Bergsma, 13:16.88, and we are ready with pair number 3.
Starting from lap 5 until lap 21, Dawson had everything between 32.0 and 32.3. And Bergsma from lap 2, which is the first full lap at speed, until lap 24 had everything between 31.5 and 31.9. Final pair before the ice preparation halfway. Here we have Alger Engebraten against Bart Swings. Engebraten has the home team advantage, of course, being a Norwegian in Norway.
Ready.
And the Bart Swings, well, he can't have the home team advantage because there's no 400 meter ice rink in Belgium. There is a sports center named after Bart Swings, but it doesn't involve an ice rink, or at least not a 400 meter one. Swings can skate on quite a few distances very well. He is reigning world and Olympic champion on the mass start. Got a few podium places here and there on the 1500, even won that, and also some podium places on the 5000. And has skated a few decent 10Ks as well. Was 4th, I believe, at the Olympics in 2014. Has a national record and personal best of 12:57. Low altitude, he skated 13:02. And his opponent is Alger Engebraten, Norwegian skater who very much likes the all-round. Engebraten can skate a good 1500, a good 5000, a decent 10,000. It's not his best distance though. He skated a couple of very good team pursuits with the rest of the Norwegians as well. But as I said, the 10K is not his strongest distance. His personal best is 13:09.95. His low altitude personal best 13:17. Last season, Engebraten also really set his goals on the European All-Round Championships, which is very admirable. Because the all-round is kind of a discipline that loses a bit of popularity, which is a shame. But Engebraten fully went for it, and then he got ill. He's got asthma, lung problems, which sometimes play up, which is very unfortunate, because he's such a great skater. 3rd at the Olympics 2 years ago in the 5K. And also 3rd at the World Cup in Heerenveen on the 5K last season. But yeah, if you got lung problems, that's not the greatest thing to have if you need to perform sports at a high level. Both skaters started off with a couple of laps in the 31, now doing low 32s. I'm not sure, but I presume that Engebraten is shooting for the all-rounds again this year, which will be in Insel in early March, and that will be a World All-Round Championships, and presumably Bart Swings will participate there as well. He's always skates the all-round. and is quite good at it. Still low 32s for both. Bart Swings actually trains with a Dutch team, Team Eco. And there was quite a bit of controversy around that. Not around him necessarily. Takes it back into the 31. But the Dutch speed skating union, KNSB, came with a rule that international skaters would not be allowed to train with the Dutch teams at the certain hours on the ice in Heerenveen, at the TL ice rink. There are certain hours in the day that are reserved for the top teams to train on, and foreign skaters would not be able to do that anymore. But he does train with the Dutch team, and there are a few more of those. And a couple of Dutch skaters from the Dutch team, Team Eco, also mentioned that, well, Bart Swings does make us better. So yeah, you're helping a Belgian skater get better, but the Belgian skater also helps us get better. And that decision would go into effect next season, but for now it's been postponed to after the 2026 Olympics. And we don't know what's going to happen then, but the decision on what is going to happen has been postponed to then. And I think it's a good decision to let them keep training with us. Well, us, with the Dutch skaters. Because he does get better, Bart Swings of course, and he is an opponent of the Dutch team, but the Dutch skaters also get a lot better. Both skaters have been skating lap times around 32 seconds. And those lap times, if you keep them up, get you to a final time of about 13:23, 13:25. (31.7 for Swings, he's accelerating a bit. 32.1 for Engelbraten. What you often see if they're going at the same speed, if they're skating the same laps on such a long distance, then you usually see the one that has the inner turn towards the backstretch, so in this turn, which would be Engelbraten now, skates the faster lap and takes a slight lead, and then the other one would skate the faster lap. Let's see if we see that here as well. Well, laps are equal now. And Engelbraten has to slow down a bit. He has to give priority to Bart Swings. Because if you're next to each other on the crossing stretch, then the one who's in the outside lane has priority, because the one in the outside lane is technically further ahead. (32.1 again for Swings. And Engelbraten loses a bit, as he did have to on that crossing. Here we have Davide Giotto doing his warm-up. Bjarne Rikje, the Norwegian coach. Swings still quite consistent, and Engelbraten accelerates a bit. Quite a bit actually. 6/10 over the last lap. 31.8 is faster than Swings. If he keeps that up, this is going to get really interesting. (31.9 for Swings, 32.0 for Engelbraten. Keeping it steady now. And the question is, can Engelbraten accelerate again a bit more? We're at about 2/3 into the race now. 31.9 and 31.7 for Engelbraten. He is closing the gap. Slowly but surely. And he can go ahead. Bart Swings did slow down a little bit there. But he did do that on purpose. It's not because Engelbraten was in his way. He did do it on purpose so that he could have the draft. So I don't think this is going to give any troubles for Engelbraten. 31.9, 31.9 for both. Here you can see again that when Engelbraten has the second inner turn of the lap, he skates a faster lap. When he has the second outer turn, here you can see Bart Swings holding in a little bit. You can see when Engelbraten has the second inner turn, he skates a faster lap than when he has the second outer turn. So I wonder if we'll see that again here. 31.9 last lap. And 31.7. And now Swings has the draft. So now Swings could potentially skate the faster lap. And again he holds in a little bit to get that perfect draft. Six and a little bit laps to go now. And it can still go either way. They are 6 and 7 seconds behind Jorrit Bergsma's time. So they will have to accelerate quite spectacularly if they want to beat that. Well, Engelbraten, you have your inner turn again here. What can you do with it? The gap looks a little bigger than it was 2 laps ago. The gap, so let's see. 31.6, 31.7. Well, Engelbraten does accelerate, but Swings accelerates more. They will have to go to laps under 31 seconds if they want to beat Jorrit Bergsma though. (31.6), 31.0 for Engelbraten. Now that's an acceleration. You can see him push faster and harder. I think he might fully close the gap right now. Yeah, there he comes. This will be a lap in the 30 seconds, right? Suddenly he has, well, he's got a few meters on Swings. 30.1 and 31.2 for Swings. Swings is also accelerating, but Engelbraten is accelerating a lot more. Can he go under 30 seconds? And what can Swings still do? And with these laps, Jorrit Bergsma's time is within reach. .30.8 and 30.6 for Swings. They're really getting the absolute most out of each other with a race like this. Engelbraten looks like he's tiring quite a bit now. Like he's gave it his all. And yeah, Swings does have the lead again. What will the lap time be? 30.5. 1 lap to go. He will not. He has to skate a 29 lap to get Jorrit Bergsma's time. But it will be quite good. Engelbraten 32.2. Engelbraten attacked. Took the lead. But it was a little bit too much for him. And he's feeling the pain right now. Final time Swings, 13.18.34 goes into second place. Engelbraten 13.21.31 goes into third place. Beautiful race from these two men. Made it very exciting at the end. And ultimately, Swings did have enough left, enough fuel left to take the win. But not quite enough to take Jorrit Bergsma's time. He's still in the lead. We've now had 3 races. And we're going to get a nice preparation. 10K is a very long distance, a lot of laps. In total on each lane, 75 laps have been skated right now. That's the equivalent to 60 500-meter races. So we're going to have a little break. Bergsma, first place. Swings, second place. Engelbraten, third place. And then Jansman, Dawson and Snelling. At 48 minutes past 4, the second half will begin.
Two.
Mine damer og herrer, vi får da en ekstra seremoni for en spesiell person i norsk skøytemiljø. Og jeg har gleden av å gi ordet til president i Norges Skøyteforbund, Mona Mona Adolfsen. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the Norwegian Skating Association, Mrs. Mona Adolfsen.
Dear everyone, it's a pleasure for me to give this special award, the highest award, the Norwegian Skating Association. It's a gold badge that's given to some special persons contributing into national and international skating. And I hope that you will apologize me for continuing in Norwegian, but I'm sure the ones that's not of Norwegian tongue will also understand a lot. Kjære alle sammen, det en glede for meg å benytte denne anledningen til å dele den høyeste utmerkelse vi har i Norges Skøyteforbund, nemlig gullmerket. Dette en utmerkelse som gis til de som har gjort noe helt spesielt i ledelse nasjonalt for skøytesporten. Håper jeg dere hører meg. Og hva mer naturlig enn å skulle tildele et gullmerke til en som i 31 år har dedikert sitt arbeid i noen som, ja. Det ingen overraskelse det nå snakk om vicepresident i ISU, Trond Espelid. Trond, jeg vil veldig gjerne at du kommer litt fram. Allerede i 1985 kom Trond inn som valgt i Norges Skøyteforbund. Og i 1992, altså 31 år siden, så ble han også valgt inn i teknisk komité i ISU. Det en bragd å ha bidratt i så mange år, både som komité, leder som teknisk til ISU, og ikke minst som vicepresident siden 2016. Det mest imponerende at det noen som ønsker skøytesporten vel og Johnsen, så det Trond. Men selv ønsker han å stå litt tilbake. Skøytesporten internasjonalt hadde aldri vært den samme uten deg. En stjerne som lar andre skinne. En som alltid ønsker lojalitet, ærlighet. Og jobber i kulissene. Du har alltid kontroll, du kunnskapsrik, lojal til sporten og ærlig. Et forbilde for alle oss som jobber med skøytesporten, både på frivillig basis og de som i sporten. Og dere som hører, jeg vil understreke at dette arbeidet har vært gjort på frivillig basis, satt av mange hundre, kanskje flere tusen timer, både på nasjonalt og internasjonalt arbeid. Du et forbilde for mange av oss. Du inne i din siste periode. Det blir å fylle de, men du har gitt oss forventninger også om mye for skøytesporten fremover. Jeg håper dere nå vil være med å gi en stor applaus når jeg overrekker gullmerket til Trond.
Mine damer og herrer, Trond Espelid. Tusen takk til Mona Adolfsen og til Trond Espelid. Og da det 2 minutter igjen til start. 2 minutes until we start the next pair. Vi har da 3 par igjen på denne 10 000-meteren. Vi får kanskje en av favorittene, Davide Giotto, i det første paret mot Michele Malfatti. Rent italiensk oppgjør mot Nederland fra Nederland, som skal skøyte mot Ted-Jan Blumen fra Kanada. Og så avslutter vi det hele med Sverre Lunde Pedersen og Sander Eitrem.
In a few minutes we'll be back with the second half of the 10K. 3 more races to go. The first race will be between 2 Italians, Davide Giotto, Michele Malfatti. Second race, pair 5, Patrick Roest against Ted-Jan Blumen. 2 people who speak Dutch, but Blumen is no longer Dutch. Well, he still has his passport, I think, but he skates for Canada. Has the passport, citizenship. And then 2 Norwegian skaters, Sverre Lunde Pedersen against Sander Eitrem. Giotto has a very good chance to win this event. He was the best 10K skater last season. And considering his very good 5K results so far, his 10K should be good as well. And I did hear that in Insel, unofficially, in October, he skated at the time just above the track record of Niels van der Poel. So it will be around 12:50. The track record is 12:46 there. It was not any official race, so we don't have anything specific, but that's what I was told. And Michele Malfatti, who has a best time of 13:01, 20 seconds behind the best time of Giotto. Malfatti is a skater you don't tend to notice that much. He skates some good times here or there on the 5K, on the 10K. Was 9th at the Olympics 2 years ago. But he doesn't stand out very much. Not in his technique, not in his way of skating. But he's always there. Davide Giotto does stand out. Well, he has a cool mustache. He also tends to open very quickly. 34.2. He's done it faster, but it's still very fast. And 1.6 seconds faster than Bergsma did. He's definitely up to something. He has very, very long strides. And a very slow rhythm. But it works. 30.9. Starting off much faster than the others. So I wonder what he's up to. I wonder what final time he's got in his head. Presumably a time under 13 minutes. Well, if you start this fast. Because laps of 31 seconds, so I'll get you to exactly 13 minutes pretty much. 31.3. 31.3 for Malfatti as well. Davide Gilto was set to win the overall World Cup long distance 5 and 10k combined last season. But then somewhere in the final laps of the final 5k in the World Cup, he made a big mistake. Sander Eitrem was next to him on the crossing and Eitrem had priority. He came from the outer lane. Gilto didn't give it and he was in Eitrem's way. That means you get disqualified, so no points. So he didn't win. And instead Bo Snelling won. Which mostly cost him a lot of money, because there's quite a lot of money to be won in the World Cup. But it was his own mistake, so he could only blame himself. 31.2, 31.3. Both skaters by far the fastest so far. He did take revenge as well, because world champion on the 10k a little bit later in the season, a few weeks after that mistake. He won with what, 15 seconds difference, the 10k, which is quite a big gap. 31.1, Gilto again, very consistent, very steady, and very good. Gilto also third at the Olympics in 2022. And actually has a really good time standing here in Stavanger. In the previous Olympic season, the 2017-2018 season, Davide Gilto skated in the B division, which does have an advantage because you skate in quartets. So there are 4 skaters on the track at the same time instead of just 2. So you have a little bit more wind going around and maybe you pass some skaters. So it does have a little bit of an advantage, but still 12.53, which is what he skated then. It's very, very good. So he went back into the high 30s last lap and now lost half a second again. With 31.4. Two years ago there was also a 10k here in Stavanger, where Malfatti skated 13.12 and Gilto skated 13.10. .31.0 now. A little bit more erratic lap times than, for example, Bergsma had. .31.1 again, and of course, being Italian, same goes for Malfatti naturally. He wants to be at his absolute best in 2 years' time, because the Olympics will be in Baselga. Sorry, my bad. They will be in Milan, and there were talks about the ice skating potentially being in Baselga, because there's an ice rink there, and they would build a building around it, cover it, which did not happen. And the skating will now be in some kind of Congress hall in Milan. Still yet to be determined exactly where, I think. If it is determined, I'm not sure exactly where, but it's somewhere in or very closely around Milan. And a lot of us were quite excited that it was going to be potentially in Baselga. The Baselga is a high altitude rink, lies at 998 meters above sea level. Baselga di Pine. And if it was covered, it would probably become the fastest ice rink in Europe due to the altitude, lower air pressure. But that's not gonna happen. On one hand, a shame, On the other hand, having such an outdoor rink with the mountains there, you know, you get a lot of beautiful pictures there. That's worth a lot as well. So maybe it is for the best that it remains uncovered. Who knows? For the Olympics, it's unfortunate, but in the long term, for Italian speed skating in that region, it might be the best. What I'm noticing is that Giotto, with, again, very consistent lap times, on the first stride in every turn, at least every outer turn, he keeps his hand on his back. He did not do it here, but let's see if he does it again when he's in the outer lane again. Now, Chris Huizinga this season started to skate with both hands on his back. Yeah, did you see that? There he did it again. Kept it on his back for a bit longer. Chris Huizinga skates with both hands on his back for the entire race, which you pretty much never see. Elena Sokyakova, female Russian skater, did it a few years ago, some races. And every now and then you see a skater do it for 1 or 2 strides or maybe 1 turn in a 10k or a 5k, but never the entire race. 13.9, he is accelerating a bit. But if you know a bit about speed skating history, and then we have to go quite far back. Back in the day, I'm talking like 1910s, 1920s, they did that a lot. And I'm not sure exactly when it stopped. Maybe up until the 60s or 50s. But back then they did it a lot, just using both hands on their back, also in the turns. I'm not sure exactly why that changed. Maybe because there's more, you can give more power now for a variety of reasons and you need that hand for more stability. That is probably it. I'm not a skater myself, so I'm not necessarily an expert on that. Although from watching speed skating for 15 years, I do know a bit about it. But it is more aerodynamic to keep it on your back, and Chris Huizinga did skate some great personal bests this season using that technique. It's quite difficult, and the faster you go, the more difficult it is. We saw a Russian skater, Kuznetsov, do it as well on even the 1000 meters a few years ago. And he was able to skate with that technique fast times, but ultimately it didn't get him to the top of the world. But at that speed, keeping that stability without using your hand is incredibly difficult. We're focusing on Giotto right now mostly, and he's skating a good race, high 30s. He can still go under 13 minutes if he keeps it up and maybe accelerates a little bit. But Malfatti, a bit behind him, is skating a very good race as well. 30.7. Yeah, if he skates all the laps under 31 now, he goes under 13 minutes, which will be a very good time. And Malfatti is accelerating. For a long time, it was about 31.7. Last lap 31.5. Now 31.3. It's getting faster and faster. And while he will most likely not be able to catch Giotto, he will be able to skate a good time. Giotto 31.1. That's not what you need if you want to go under 13 minutes. Malfatti 31.4. Steady. It looks to me like Giotto is giving it more power. So perhaps this will be 30.7, something like that. Unfortunately not, 31.0. Still steady though, still very good lap times. 31.5 from Malfatti. 31.3. With these lap times, he'll get to about 13.01, 13.02. And Malfatti losing a few tenths now as well, 31.8. .6 from Giotto. He's not able to keep those lap times steady down, but he will be able to go by far into first place after this race. Which is probably enough for the podium. There are still 2 more pairs, so it's not certain. But I'm guessing that this will be enough for the podium. His final time will be roughly 13 minutes and 2 seconds. And Malfatti will go into second place. He will beat Jorrit Bergsma's time, which is quite good. Giotto, final stretch of a fantastic race. Just above 13 minutes. 13 minutes, 2 seconds, and 71 hundredths of a second. That is 8 seconds faster than he was here 2 years ago. And Malfatti, 13 minutes, 12 seconds, and 89 hundredths, which is half a second slower than he was 2 years ago. So basically the exact same time. Very good race from the both of them. Giotto clearly wanted to go under 13 minutes, but wasn't able to quite keep those lap times down. But he also did not lose too much. Sometimes you see skaters who go completely off the rails and skate lap times 34, 35, 36 in those last few laps. I've even seen 38s a few times. But Giotto did not do that. He kept it reasonably low. Next pair, second to last, Patrick Roost against Ted-Jan Bloemen. Patrick Roost is well known for a lot of things on the 10K. He is known for fast times. He is known for skating incredibly slow final laps when he just dies entirely. He's also known for skating very fast final laps sometimes. In fact, just last season, Patrick Roost skated the fastest lap ever skated on the 10K with 27.93. 200 faster than Sven Kramer did at the European Championships in Kolomna with 27.95. Where Sven Kramer had taken a bet with someone whether he could skate a lap under 28 seconds near the end of the 10K, and it turns out he could. That's what you do if you just win everything anyway. Quite a quick start from Ted-Jan Bloemen, 34.61, Patrick Roost 35.27. Still reasonably quick from Patrick Roost as well. Bloemen is also known for sometimes opening very quickly. He has opened 33.4, 33.5 seconds a few times. The fastest ever is from Bob de Jong with 33.12. Ted-Jan Bloemen 30.7, Patrick Roost 31.04. Roughly starting at the same tempo as Davide Giotto did. We spoke a bit about Roost, so let's now talk about Ted-Jan Bloemen. Olympic champion 2018 with 12:39.77. Skated the world record with 12:36.30 in 2015. Then he lost his world record to Graham Fish in 2020. And then last season, almost exactly a year ago, he got his Canadian record, not the world record. Niels van der Poel had skated faster at that point, but he got his Canadian record back. In the B division and the 10K in Calgary, he, well, let's say randomly skated 12:33.75. And that's the thing with Ted-Jan Bloemen. Ted-Jan Bloemen is rarely consistent throughout the season. He's never won a lot. But he does have sometimes those incredible races that no one is able to beat. And we've seen it on the 5K, where he is a former world record holder. We've seen it a few more times on his better distance, on his best distance, the 10K. And last season he skated a time of 13 minutes and 2 seconds, I believe, at the World Championships, which he was quite disappointed with. He was hoping for a lot faster, didn't expect much of it, but it did get him 3rd place. So it was still a good race. So far he's taken about a 20-30 meter lead over Patrick Roost. Laps are about equal, 31.4, 31.5. Ted-Jan Bloemen slightly behind Giotto. Roost a few seconds behind that. And the fun thing about Ted-Jan Bloemen is that he's not afraid to openly talk about his ambitions. You will have a lot of speed skaters, understandably so, are very hesitant to say that they want to skate the world record, that that's their goal or something like that. But Ted-Jan Bloemen isn't. And in an interview very recently, he said that yes, he does want to skate a world record on the 10K and on the 5K. He wants to do so in Calgary. This season the World Single Distance Championships are in Calgary. It's his home rink, it's the rink where he skates the best, usually. He is more of a high altitude skater. That's where he lives, that's where he trains, that's where his technique is the best for. So his high altitude races are usually comparatively a lot better than his low altitude races. Not always, but usually. And he wants to skate under 6 minutes on the 5K and under 12 minutes and 30 seconds on the 10K. Niels van der Poel wanted to do both as well. Didn't manage. Was very close though. Ted-Jan Bloemen now going to 31.6. Ted-Jan Bloemen had a very good 5K last World Cup 2 weeks ago. 6 minutes 18 seconds. Placed 4th. And this looks to be a good race as well. But as I said, it's really hard to judge his coming results on his past results. A lot of skaters are fairly consistent, but some, like Ted-Jan Bloemen, just aren't. And that makes it very interesting. Patrick Roost last lap was half a second faster than Ted-Jan Bloemen. And again, wins a few tenths of a second. He's getting closer and closer. And while he is 4.5 seconds behind Giotto, he is keeping that connection. Especially considering Giotto skated high 31s and even a 32-second lap near the end. That's where you can win a lot. And this gap is getting smaller and smaller. It's about 10 meters. Again, 4:10. Smaller than it was last lap. Nice draft for Patrick Roost here. And then he's probably going to take Bloemen on the next lap. Bloemen can also really accelerate in those final laps. If he's got something left, he's got the speed. 31.65, Roost loses a bit and Bloema accelerates a bit. So the same lap time right now. So Roost isn't quite there yet. And with these lap times you lose half a second to about 7/10 of a second every lap on Davide Giotto. So if he wants to win, he will have to accelerate quite a bit. The gap is smaller again, 31.4, and Bloema loses a few tenths, 31.9, nearly 32 seconds. The gap with Giotto is over 5 seconds now. Can Bloema connect? Can he accelerate a bit? Can he keep up with Roost? It looks like, at least this lap, he can. The gap is almost entirely closed. 31.1 from Roost. There's the acceleration, 31.5 from Bloema. The gap with Giotto is still increasing though. It doesn't look like Roost is having having to put too much effort into it yet. It still looks relatively easy what he does. 30.5. Yeah, there it is. Well, if he keeps up these lap times, he will be able to beat Giotto. And that's what Roost does sometimes. Crazy accelerations. Although this is not that crazy yet. We've seen a lot crazier. And this is also quite early for that actually. 30.6 and 31.9 from Bloema. Bloema is not able to go with him. That's Moffatti. Feeling it in his legs. I would too. I would definitely feel the same after getting 25 of those laps. What can Roost do now? 30.7. He is gaining on Giotto, but he will have to accelerate quite a bit more. He will have to go to about 30.3 on average from now on if he wants to beat Giotto. And looking at his technique, at his stride, I don't think he's going to be able to do that. Looks like that acceleration to the 30s cost him a lot of effort. Yeah, 31.2. Bloema accelerates a bit again, 31.6. Oh, Roost is... Oh, he's through. He's entirely through. Bloema still had a chance to win this. 32.1. Yeah. 32.0. There are only a few laps left, only 5, but Bloema could potentially still win this. Although we have seen before in 1 or 2 races where Patrick Roost was... Well, basically looked like he was almost dead. He was skating laps 32, 33, 34 even. But then the other skater came by again. And he was able to pick it up and still skate at 29. Oh, that is painful. 32.8. Bloema 31.5. Yeah, Bloema's going to win this. Most likely. We've seen both things of Roost. We've seen a big acceleration. Was a bit too early, a bit too ambitious. And now we see... Well, this. A total collapse. And there's Bloema. 31.5. 33.8 from Patrick Roost. It's just like 2 years ago. Exactly the same happened.
And Blumen is now 4/10 behind Michele Malfatti in second place.
Blumen can still take Michele Malfatti though.
Blumen slåss altså om andreplass.
Malfatti has a time of 13:12.8. 31.5. If Blumen skates this lap again and then once more, then he will beat Malfatti and go into second place. Patrick Roest 35.0. That's painful. He gave it his all. And the tank was empty. About 5 or 6 laps too early. 31.4. If he skates 31.9 or faster, he takes second place. First place is out of reach for Blumen, but what about second place? 13:12.89 is the time to beat. Can he do it? Can he do it? 13:12.33, he can. Blumen goes into second place. And Patrick Roest. A complete collapse. 13:23.96. Goes into 7th place. Not entirely unexpected, we've seen that before with Roest. But definitely not what he hoped for.
Blumen with 13:12.33. And in third place, Michele Malfatti, 13:12.89. And we are soon ready for...
We have one more pair to go. Which is a Norwegian pair. Sverre Lunde Pedersen, Norwegian veteran, against the new kid on the block. And the very tall kid on the block, Sander Eitrem. Eitrem is in the outer lane, Pedersen in the inner lane. If you're confused who is who, just look at who's taller. You'll be able to see.
Ready.
Pedersen may look quite small compared to Eitrem, but I met him this summer. And he's about the same height as me, and I'm not small. He's about 1 meter and 80 centimeters, or nearly 6 feet. Just that Eitrem is nearly 2 meters. Both are starting fairly cautiously. Pedersen is not necessarily a 10k skater by nature. His best distances are the 1500 meters, the team pursuit, where he is a double reigning Olympic champion, won in 2018 and 2022. And also the 5k, where he was third at the Olympics in 2018. At the 1500 meters he won several podium places in World Championships and such, and also won a few World Cups. 5k he won the 2019 World Single Distance Championships. Pedersen was about to win the World All-Round Championships in 2018, but then he fell on the 10k, hooked himself with a skate. Very unfortunate. Still got second place overall, but yeah, that was his shot at becoming all-round champion of the world. Was back in Amsterdam. And then he's had a lot of injuries over the years, but he's come back every time, and so far he's skating quite a decent season. But yeah, the 10K is not his strongest distance. Personal best of 12:56.91. Low altitude personal best of 13:02, which was skated here in Stavanger 6 years ago. And his opponent is Sander Eitrem, the new Norwegian kid on the block. 21 years old, has skated some very fast 5Ks already, including 6:08.24 in Heerenveen last season. He won World Cup, I believe World Cup 5 last season on the 5K. Skated some very good 1500 meters. Was second at the European Championships all round last season. But also the 10K is not his strongest distance. He got a personal best of 13 minutes and 4 seconds. But he's still young, he hasn't skated a lot of 10Ks yet. So that personal best skated in Hamar at the European Championships last year. That personal best is ready to be beaten. Not necessarily today. These lap times are not going to bring him to 13:04. Skating roughly the same lap times as Jorrit Bergsma. Eitrem is not afraid to attack. Again, mostly referring to his 5Ks because, well, we've only seen him skate 1 or 2 10Ks, so there's not a lot of data there yet. He's not afraid to attack on the 5K, to be on the lookout, skate steady laps, and then halfway just accelerate with a second or so. Which is phenomenal to see. And he did the same thing. He tried the same thing to become European Championship on the 10K last year, which he did not manage because Patrick Roest was in very good shape and managed to keep him off. But he tried, and he skated a very good personal best there. 31:40, very steady. 31:95, Petersen also steady, just half a second behind every lap. A lot of Norwegian spectators. Yesterday on the Dutch broadcast, the Dutch commentators said that here in Stavanger, if you want to get a full audience, full stands, then you need to skate a 5K or a 10K. They are very much for the long distance here. 500 meters, there'll still be a good audience, and there was a good audience earlier today. It's still a World Cup after all, and skating is very popular. But the long distance stuff, and not just in ice skating, but also in running and perhaps cycling or other sports, long distance is where it's at here in Stavanger. 31.6, 32.1, both are losing a little bit, a few tenths. But still a steady race. (31.5), yeah, incredibly steady. What will Petersen do? 32.0, also very steady. The split time markers are comparing currently times to the lead, which is Davide Giotto. But they're quite a bit behind that, nearly 5 seconds. So if we compare to second place, to Ted-Jan Blume, who is 13:12.33, is in second place. Next passage, we'll see how they compare to him. We're past the halfway mark now. 5,200 meters this. Blume had 6:52.53, so Eitrem is less than a second behind that. And Blume skated the lap of 31.6. Pedersen with 6:59 is roughly the same what Bart Swings skated. But Bart Swings obviously had some really good last laps. It depends on what he can do, whether he can take Bart Swings. 31.4. He wins a little bit on what Blume did. He's just 1100 behind Blume right now, Eitrem. Pedersen 32.3. Again, steady. We're seeing quite a few very steady 10Ks today. I've seen a lot where it was not as steady, as consistent. Eitrem again, 31.5. Blume also skated 31.5 here. Next lap, Blume skated 31.4. So Eitrem still very much has second place within reach. 31.4. He's basically copying Ted-Jan Blume. If you can then accelerate a bit towards the end, and that's a recipe for silver. Pedersen losing quite a bit now, 32.6. With those laps, he's not going to be able to beat Bart Swings. Perhaps he can still beat Engebraten though. His fellow countryman. 31.6, and Eitrem with 8:59.24 is ahead of Blume now, who had 8:59.39. 1500 slower. And then Bjarne Ricky there said as well, steady. Well, yeah, it is very steady. He is not wrong. $31.9. Ooh, losing quite a bit now. Almost exactly identical to Ted-Jan Blume. Pedersen into the 33 seconds now. There's of course also Malfatti, who is just half a second behind Blume. And then there's a 4-second gap to fourth place, Jorrit Bergsma. $31.99. Considering Blume had some good final laps, this is gonna be tough. And if Blume is tough, then Malfatti is also tough, because, well, they almost skated at the exact same time. Pedersen losing a lot now. He's looking more to go towards the time of Kars Jansman, about 13.5 minutes. Eitrem, can he keep it under 32? No. 32.4. So podium is out of the question then, unfortunately. But what about Jorrit Bergsma? With 13:16.88 as final time. Jorrit Bergsma skated 11:09.17 at this passage. And Eitrem has 11:08.45. He still has a few tenths, but his lap time is a second slower. So he's not going to make that either. And with these lap times, he's not going to get the time of 13:18 by Swings. So then the question is, who becomes the best Norwegian? Because Hallgeir Engebraten has the best Norwegian time so far. 13:21. And Eitrem, 33.3. He does still have 3.5 seconds on Engelbraten. But Engelbraten had a 30.8, 32.2 and 32.8. He may lose 3 seconds in this next lap. .12, 16.12. 33.0. Okay, he accelerates a bit. That's good. He has a little bit over a second left. If he skates 2 laps under 33 seconds, he beats Engelbraten and becomes the fastest Norwegian of the day. Pedersen 34.5. Looking towards, goes towards 12.40, 12.45. 33.3. He has just 1/10 of a second on Engelbraten. And here the Italians are celebrating because Malfatti is third. He has to skate 32.8 or faster to get title of fastest Norwegian of the day, which, looking at this, is probably not going to happen. He's just, well, there's nothing left. He's entirely empty. Now, 13:22.35 goes into 7th place. And the Italians are celebrating officially now. Because Giotto won with 13:02.71. Blume, 2nd place, 13:12.3. And Malfatti, 13:12.8. 3rd place. Eitrem goes into 2nd to last place. Pedersen does that. With 13:42. And Giotto shows again that he is in very good shape. After 2 very good 5,000 meters, he now wins the 10,000, which is not unsurprising. I mean, not surprising, as it is his better distance. Blume into 2nd place, which is quite good. And then Malfatti, which is exceptionally good for Malfatti, goes into 3rd place. Jorrit Bergsma steady 4th place. Then Bart Swings rounds out the top 5. And we have 2 Norwegian skaters, Engelbraten and Eitrem. 13:21, 13:22. And 2 more Dutch skaters, Patrick Roest, Kars Jansman. 13:23, 13:29. Then the American, Casey Dawson. And then Pedersen. And lastly, Bo Snelling. So, well done, Italy. And here we have the technically still unofficial results. 13:02, 13:12, 13:12, 13:16. Some of these races were quite exciting, quite tight. Swings and Engelbraten had a beautiful race. Eitrem kept us guessing until the final few laps. Blume, good race as well. Giotto, of course, very good race. And then we're waiting now for the combined World Cup standings. After 3 of the 6 World Cups have been skated for long distances. And considering Roest didn't skate so hot today, 8th place, I'm guessing that Giotto went into 1st place overall now. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to wait and see. Although Roost will not be that far behind and can still easily win a World Cup if he does well on the next few races. Which are all 5Ks, which is Roost's best distance. It's a shame that there's only one 10K in the World Cup a season. Used to be 2. It's a beautiful distance. Someone can be far behind and then come back and still win. Someone can skate fantastically for 10 minutes, but have gone a little bit too fast. And then completely collapse, which is of course not what they want, but it can be kind of a beautiful thing to see. There's beauty in tragedy after all. And here we have the standings. Giotto indeed went into first place. Patrick Roost, second place. Blume, third place. Then Eitrem, Malfatti, Pedersen, Swings, Engelbrat and Dawson. And a Chinese skater in the top 10, which is unheard of. Yu Wu is doing incredibly well. Very excited to see him at the World Championships and other events. Perhaps the World Allrounds? Who knows, he can skate a decent 500, decent 1500. But that's it for today. We had a beautiful 500, 1500s and then 10K. Tomorrow it will start at the same time, 2:30 in the afternoon, European time, Central European time. And we'll have the 1500 meters men, 500 meters women, 5000 meters women and both team sprints then. And that was it for today. We'll see you again tomorrow.
The training for the teams will start at 5:42. 5:42, so another 4.5 minutes before we start training. The medals and prizes will be awarded by the ISU representative, Mr. Albert Hasselhoff. Number 3, from Italy, Michele Malfatti. Number 2, from Canada, Ted Jan Blomen. Og nummer 1 og vinner, number 1, and the winner from Italy, Davide Giotto. Czech woman Michele Malfatti. Congratulations.
Good job, guys. Thank you.
Og gjenstår det for oss herfra å takke for i dag, og ønske hjertelig velkommen tilbake i morgen. B-gruppen starter klokken 10:40 i morgen med 1500 meter for menn, deretter 500 meter kvinner og 5000 meter for kvinner. Så det klokken 14:30 A-gruppa som barker av gårde med 1500 meter for menn, etterfulgt av 500 meter for kvinner og til slutt 5000 meter for kvinner. Det skjer klokken 14:30. The only thing that remains on this side is to thank you all for the contribution today. Hope you have enjoyed the competitions. And we wish you a hearty welcome back tomorrow, where the B division starts at 10:40 and the A division will start at 2:30. In the meantime, make as much noise as you possibly can in Stavanger city and enjoy the Norwegian winter evening. Thank you and have a good evening.
Going on the flight, going up and down with a cool. Like we heard her yesterday, and just like I'm not gonna be able to see you at all.